The Wehrmacht and SS swiftly conquered large parts of Europe, a feat often attributed to the German army's military prowess. Amidst this narrative, a fascinating but lesser-known aspect unfolds: the creation of an elite unit of German soldiers. This specialized force operated behind enemy lines, securing strategic locations, sabotaging enemy strongholds, and wreaking havoc behind enemy lines, and playing a crucial role in pivotal events like the invasion of Western Europe and Operation Barbarossa of the Soviet Union. In the heart of conventional military reluctance, a daring vision emerged among German officers, one that defied the norm and embraced the chaos of irregular warfare. Captain Theodor von Hippo stood at the forefront, a lone advocate for an unorthodox approach that echoed the guerrilla brilliance of General Paul von Lettow-Vorbeck in the depths of German East Africa during World War I. Hippo's proposal was nothing short of audacious, the creation of a unit destined to dance on the edge, surging ahead of the main German forces, leaving a trail of unpredictable maneuvers in its wake. The whispers of dissent transformed into a resounding chorus as the idea took root. Thus, the Brandenburgers were born, a force that would etch its name into the annals of unbridled warfare, a force birthed from the audacity to defy convention, and will become Germany's special force. A huge shout out to World of Warships for sponsoring today's video. If you're craving non-stop naval action, World of Warships is the place to be. With new content every month, it's an epic buffet featuring iconic ships and mind-blowing collaborations like Godzilla vs. Kong, Transformers, Popeye, Megadeth, and Azur Lane. The graphics are stunning. Over 40 unique maps, dynamic weather, and water effects that make you feel like you're battling the elements. But it's not just about looks, it's about choices. You have a naval fleet at your fingertips: battleships, destroyers, aircraft carriers, cruisers, and submarines. And here's the best part. It's not just for PC players. World of Warships is sailing smoothly on consoles too. Whether you prefer mouse and keyboard or joystick, they've got you covered. Now, let's talk about what makes this game truly massive. Command history's most iconic war vessels, each meticulously detailed for an immersive naval warfare experience. But what's a game without a community, right? World of Warships has a bustling, diverse community ready to welcome you aboard. Join clans, engage in competitive battles, and hang out with fellow wargamers on Discord. Use promo code BRAVO to receive a huge starter pack, including 500 doubloons, 1.5 million credits, 7 days of premium account time, and a ship. Check out the link below and see you on the Virtual Seas Commanders. Formed in the summer of 1939, the Brandenburgers were a formidable force shaped by intensive training that spanned a spectrum of skills. From precision marksmanship to the art of bomb-making, and from mastering commando-style warfare to acquiring survival instincts and camouflage techniques, these elite troops were a versatile bunch. This select unit, comprised of volunteers hailing from various overseas territories with diverse linguistic abilities, operated in specialized companies tailored to different regions. Their unique strength lay in their adaptability and the ability to seamlessly blend into various environments. Among the Brandenburgers' arsenal of distinctive techniques, silent killing stood out prominently. This clandestine approach allowed them to eliminate adversaries with eerie efficiency, utilizing methods such as wire garroting or razor-sharp knives. Despite the unconventional nature of their tactics, both Captain Hippo and Wilhelm Canaris, the head of Germany's military intelligence service, stressed the importance of adhering to international law. Notably, they avoided the use of enemy uniforms, showcasing a commitment to ethical conduct even in the midst of covert operations. For the Battle of Poland, the original formation, known as Bataillon Ebbinghaus, had its roots predominantly in Volksdeutsche from Poland who were fluent in Polish. This battalion, with the backing of the OKW orchestrated by Canaris, found itself under Wehrmacht command. A daring maneuver unfolded with small groups of German special forces donning civilian attire to cross the Polish border the night before the German invasion. Their mission was to seize key strategic points before dawn on the day of the invasion. The clandestine Abwehr Battalion, assigned to these operations, was cryptically named Training and Construction Company 800 for special duties. One gripping episode saw a group under the command of Lieutenant Hans Albrecht Hertzner, tasked with capturing a crucial railway station at Mosti in the Jablunkov Pass to prevent the destruction of a vital railway tunnel. Crossing the border on August 26, 1939, Hertzner's group successfully seized the railway station at Mosti later that afternoon. Unbeknownst to Hertzner, the invasion had been postponed due to political developments, a fact communicated to every other commando unit except his. It wasn't until 9:35 a.m. the following day that the Abwehr finally reached Hertzner, instructing him to release his Polish prisoners and return, marking the Jabłonkov incident. Beyond this covert mission, the Ebbinghausers sowed confusion in the Polish rear by capturing or destroying major road and rail junctions. Their contributions extended to assisting advancing troops by securing vital bridges and other strategic targets, preventing their demolition. Despite the undeniable success of Battalion Ebbinghaus, it faced swift disbandment immediately after the campaign. The Brandenburgers made their mark in military history during Fall Gelb, leading up to the Battle of Fort Eben Emael. They covertly infiltrated the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg, with a notable incident at the Meuse Bridge in Gennep. Despite challenges, Lieutenant Wilhelm Walter's team captured a vital bridge. With great success, the Brandenburgers' operations continued, facing risks like arrest and execution. Post the French capitulation, shifted to northern France in anticipation of Operation Silo. Following the cancellation of the invasion, they later relocated to Operation Felix in southern France. Expanding and redesignated as Regiment Brandenburg, they integrated coastal raider and tropical components. Redirected to Operation Marita, deploying a sizable 54-man, the Sudeten and Slavic Battalion played a crucial role, seizing dockyards at Orshava a day before the German army, supported by Hungarian and Bulgarian forces, attacked Yugoslavia and Greece. During the Africa Corps' deployment to Libya, the Brandenburgers were right there with them. Trained as 4 companies of special tropical units, these guys were like linguistic chameleons, fluent in either English or Arabic. They rolled around in captured British vehicles, sneaking behind enemy lines for raids and reconnaissance, basically doing a cool mirror dance with the British LRDG. At first, General Feldmarschall Erwin Rommel wasn't too thrilled about the Brandenburgers, but witnessing the havoc unleashed by the LRDG and Sterling's SAS made him do a 180. He realized these guys were onto something with their unorthodox methods. Their mission? Messing with British supply lines. The catch? It was tough to keep them supplied or transport them, so a lot of the guys either bit the dust or ended up as guests of the enemy. The Brandenburg Regiment was the vanguard as the Germans plunged into the Soviet frontier in June 1941. On day one, these Brandenburgers were like shadowy ghosts, seizing road and rail junctions, securing river crossings, and throwing a wrench into the already shaky Soviet communications and supply lines. In Latvia, a Brandenburger unit swooped in and took control of the Daugava Bridge in Dunaburg during the early days of Barbarossa. Ensuring Heeresgruppe Nord's advance on Leningrad went off without a hitch. Down by the coasts of the Black Sea, the Baltic, and the Sea of Azov, Rittmeister Konrad von Leipzig's Küstenjägerabteilung, aka the Coastal Raiders Battalion, was making waves with amphibious raids. In Ukraine, the Brandenburgers teamed up with the Ukrainian unit Ukrainische Gruppe Nachtigall to support Heeresgruppe Süd. And despite some questionable moves by the Ukrainians, the combo was a success. Fast forward to August 1942, and a Brandenburger unit led by Freiherr Adrian von Fulkersam went where no other German unit had gone before. Disguised as the feared NKVD, driving Soviet trucks and blending in like chameleons, they penetrated deep into enemy territory. Fulkersam even turned a group of Red Army deserters to their advantage, using them to move almost freely through Russian lines. Operation Shamil saw the Brandenburgers continue their deep behind-the-lines escapades, carrying out commando operations in the Grozny area. Operating under the cunning guise of NKVD Major Trushin, stationed in Stalingrad, Fulkersam unveiled his elaborate ruse to the Soviet commander overseeing Stalingrad, Maikop's defenses. Surprisingly, the Soviet commander not only bought Fulkersam's narrative, but went a step further by offering him a personal tour of the city's formidable defenses. By August 8th, the German spearheads were closing in, a mere 12 miles away from their objective. Seizing the opportune moment, the Brandenburgers sprang into action. Deploying a clever tactic, they used grenades to mimic an artillery onslaught, effectively incapacitating the military communications center in the city. With chaos reigning, Völkersam approached the Russian defenders, spinning a tale of an impending withdrawal. The Soviets, caught between the uncertainty of their situation and the absence of communication channels to verify or counter Völkersam's claim, hastily initiated the evacuation of Maikop. On August 9, 1942, the German spearhead waltzed into the city unopposed, marking another triumph in the Brandenburgers' extensive portfolio of missions during their advance into Russia. This tale, though remarkable, is just a single thread in the many of the Brandenburgers' covert operations during this historic campaign. As the calendar flipped to 1943, the Brandenburgers became the go-to for long-range reconnaissance. During Heeresgruppe Süd's advance in Ukraine, they were back at it, forging ahead of the panzer columns, causing chaos at bridges and junctions, and taking a swing at the Soviet command and control structure. The Brandenburgers weren't just a one-trick pony, they expanded to division size with specialized subunits for U-boat crews, air defense, artillery, tanks, anti-tank, and combat engineering. It was like the A-team of covert operations. By late 1942, the Brandenburg Regiment was no longer just playing hide-and-seek behind enemy lines. Instead, they became the German version of a fire brigade, swooping in as elite infantry to plug gaps in the lines. But in February 1943, they were called back to Germany for a makeover. Enter Division Brandenburg. General Major Alexander von Fulstein took the reins as the division's first commander, and the plan was to have 4 regiments under its banner. 1 regiment headed back to the Eastern Front, ready to tackle fire brigade duties once again. Another battalion was dispatched to Africa, keeping the Allies on their toes in the Mediterranean. The rest of the division set its sights on the Balkans, diving into anti-partisan operations. On May 25, 1944, the division's specialists, attached to SS Fallschirmjäger Battalion 500, were front and center in Operation Russelsprung. The goal? Capture Yugoslav. Partisan leader Josip Broz Tito at his headquarters near Drvar and put an end to communist resistance in the Balkans. Unfortunately for the Germans, Tito slipped away just in the nick of time, leaving the SS Fallschirmjäger to fend off ferocious partisan assaults in the town cemetery. The toll was heavy: 213 killed, 881 wounded, and 51 missing on the German side, with an estimated 6,000 partisans in the mix. In the mid-1943 plot twists, King Victor Emmanuel III of Italy decided he'd had enough of Mussolini's fascist regime and made a grand exit, switching sides. The Brandenburgers, always up for a change of scenery, followed suit and were redeployed from the Balkans to join the action of disarming Italian soldiers and securing key regions for the German war effort. One such hotspot was the picturesque island of Kos, nestled in the Dodecanese island chain off the Turkish coast. The British had snatched it up in September 1943, and a sizable garrison of Allied Italian troops was kicking back there too. The island came with a bonus, a crucial airstrip that couldn't be left in enemy hands. Enter the Brandenburgers, along with their buddies from Luftwaffe Fallschirmjägers. Under the command of the daring Lieutenant Langbein, the Brandenburgers pulled off a nighttime beachfront rendezvous on the southern coast of Kos. They made quick work of the beach defenses held by Italian troops and strolled into town without a hitch. The Brits and Italians finally stirred up some trouble later in the evening, but the Brandenburgers weren't in the mood for company. They repelled the attack, turned the tables, and snatched up the British and Italian positions. With a victorious sweep, they linked up with the Fallschirmjägers, securing the island in style. Another day, another successful mission for the Brandenburg crew. As the war went on, the drama within German intelligence was like a spy thriller. Admiral Canaris and the Abwehr were under the watchful eyes of Himmler's SS, especially Walter Schellenberg, the bigwig of Amt 6, Ausland SD, the foreign intelligence branch of the SD. The tension reached its peak in July 1944 when the anti-Nazi sentiments within the Abwehr came to a head during the infamous July 20th plot to off Hitler. Several high-ranking Abwehr officials, including Canaris himself, found themselves in hot water. The Brandenburg Division's control shifted to the SD, but by September 1944, the verdict was in: special ops units were out of fashion. The Brandenburg Division went through a makeover, becoming Infantry Division Brandenburg, MOT, a slick motorized infantry division, and was shipped off to the Eastern Front. About 1,800 Mavericks, including the indomitable Freiherr Adrian von Felkersam, decided they weren't done with the special ops game. They snagged transfers to Otto Skorzeny's 502nd SS Jäger Battalion and continued their covert operations within SS Jagdverband Mitte and mostly SS Jagdverband Ost until the war's end. For the rest of the division, the return to regular operations stung morale a bit. But even in standard mode, the Brandenburgers were still the cream of the crop. They got assigned to Panzerkorps Großdeutschland, reuniting with their old training partners from 1940 to 1941, the Großdeutschland Division. The Brandenburgers made a mark on the Eastern Front, joining the gritty fighting retreat through the Baltic states and into East Prussia. Come late 1944, the division got a facelift with a panzer regiment and a new title, Panzergrenadier Division Brandenburg. Back on the front lines, they duked it out near Memel until their strategic withdrawal, ferrying across to Pillau alongside the Großdeutschland Division. The brutal fighting near Pillau left the division battered and bruised, both physically and in spirit. The toll on the men was immeasurable, and the division found itself teetering on the brink of annihilation. As May rolled around, a handful of survivors faced the stark reality of surrender, finding themselves in the custody of the British in Schleswig-Holstein. These brave few who had weathered the storm chose a different path, one that involved acknowledging defeat and captivity. Yet, their resilience and fortitude endured, leaving an indelible mark on the legacy of the Brandenburgers. Meanwhile, the majority of the Brandenburgers, those skilled in the art of evasion and blending into the background, chose a different fate. Like phantoms slipping through the fingers of fate, they vanished into the shadows, eluding capture and slipping away from the pages of conventional history. The Brandenburgers' disappearance wasn't a retreat. It was a deliberate act of fading into obscurity, preserving the mystique that surrounded this legendary division. Their legacy of covert prowess didn't end on the battlefield. It continued as they melted away, leaving behind a tale of enigma and intrigue. The very essence of the Brandenburgers, marked by their ability to operate in the shadows, lingered on, making them not just soldiers of war, but elusive figures who navigated the tides of history with unparalleled skill and finesse. And that brings this video to a close. What a journey into the heart of Germany's elite, the Brandenburgers. These silent soldiers, shadows in the annals of military history. I don't know about you, but delving into their world left me very fascinated. If this video sparked a fire in your curiosity, and you're as fascinated by the Brandenburgers as we are, go ahead and drop that like. Smash it if you dare. And subscribe, because we're just getting started on this roller coaster of military intrigue. Imagine being part of a force so secretive, so elite, that your missions are whispered about in the darkest corners of military lore. That's the Brandenburger legacy. Now, I want to hear from you. What other elite units or military history topics should we uncover? Pour your thoughts into the comments, and let's build a community as tight-knit as the Brandenburgers themselves. Anyway, remember to check out our links below for more content. As always, we appreciate you all. We will see you guys soon. Goodbye for now.